My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here in Scotland and in Glasgow. And I'm very grateful to you for this opportunity to meet all of you. And inshallah, hopefully share some thoughts with you, which I hope will be beneficial. The way the presentation is organized is I will speak to you broadly about what I see as the key issues to address with respect to education in this 21st century, and these issues are common whether we are looking at Islamic education or we are looking at, for want of a better word, secular education, or for what should ideally be the case, which is integrated education of the two. So these issues are common. How many of you have seen, there's this wonderful drama play called The Mousetrap, which is the longest running play in the history of drama as far as I know. How many of you have seen The Mousetrap? Anybody? No, you've seen it. Okay. Those of you who haven't seen it should see it. It's a wonderful play. The reason I'm using that play is because of a strange thing, and that strange thing is that this play has been running, as far as I know, for now over maybe 35, 40 years. But the ending is always the same. Now, isn't that strange? How is the ending always the same? Because actors have come and gone. Obviously, because the people who acted in Mousetrap on the first day when it opened, obviously the same people, many of them have even died. I mean, they're not even alive anymore. But the ending is the same. Now, does it sound like it's a strange thing? Is my comment strange, or does it make sense? But that's exactly our situation. Our situation as people is that we want to have different endings while doing the same things. And that's not possible. So if you want a play to have a different ending, then you have to change the script, not the actors. So if you want a play to have a different ending, we must be prepared to change the script, not just to change the actors. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind, and that's why I'm saying if you want a different ending, change the script. Now, as I said, I'm relating this both to, for want of a better word, I don't like the word secular education because I don't think there's anything called secular education. All ilm and all knowledge is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jalla jalaluhu, whether it's physics or chemistry or whether it is hadith or Quran, is all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, to call something secular as in meaning free from God doesn't make sense. But anyway, since we have that as a common usage term which we all understand, the purpose of all education, especially Islamic education, is to form humans. I'm not saying create humans, because the creator is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but form humans. Because animals are born, humans are made. We are, as you know, biologically speaking, all of us are mammals. And young children, when they are born, there is a lot of similarity between the young of human beings and the young of sheep and the young of cattle and so on. They all drink milk and they all cry and they all do various things. The key thing, if you want that young of a mammal to become human, is through education. That's how education happens. So I'm saying animals are born, humans are made, and it's the purpose of education to form humans. Our society is, I want to quickly do a scan of what kind of society we live in. And when I say society, I don't mean necessarily the West. I say many times today that West is no longer a direction. West is no longer, one part of the world. The West today is ideology. The West is everywhere. There is only one direction, which is West. Whether you are living in Pakistan or India or Saudi Arabia or wherever, the West is what is there in our minds. So the West is not a direction, it's up here. Our society, very strangely, and I'm saying strangely because we consider ourselves, and we seem to take a lot of pride in saying and in perhaps pretending that we are the most educated people that ever lived. Generally speaking, we have this belief about ourselves that our level of knowledge and understanding is the highest that the human race has ever achieved. This is what we like to believe. I personally don't think that is true, but anyway, I mean, at least generally speaking, that's what people like to believe. Now, strangely, however, our society is characterized by anxiety and fear. Largest selling drug in the US is Prozac, which is an antidepressant drug. We are characterized by distrust and insecurity, to the extent that by law in most Western countries, a teacher is not permitted to comfort a child who is crying by hugging the child. You are not supposed to touch the child. The child can cry itself to death. You are not supposed to touch the child. Why? Because this is the extreme of a concern for security, and therefore it's based on distrust. And all of this in the midst of wealth. Now, I'm sure this one everyone will agree. When I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, the amount of disposable income that we had, the amount of money, free money to use at home and so on in our countries was not even a fraction of what there is today. I mean, today, if you look at it, people at a much lower economic level have a much higher, standard of living, and this is in the West is even more true. So, even though we have a lot of disposable income, but our lives are characterized by insecurity, by fear, by anxiety, and by distrust. Number two, our virtues. What do we teach? I teach in several business schools in the world, and to use not a very nice term, but that's what is generally used, we teach competition. We teach competition. We say, what is the secret of business? Kill your competition. I mean, these are the terminology that we use. So basically what is called a dog-eat-dog mentality. Right? We talk about the rat race. As somebody said, the problem with the rat race is that even if you win the race, you are still a rat. So these are the issues. Very aggressive stances. Grab things. Take this, take that. Grab market share. Not persuade customers to buy. Grab market share. Whether the customer likes it or not, I must grab the customer's attention and then access to the customer's pocket. And a lot of hypocrisy. We don't like to use the term, but that's our society is characterized by a lot of hypocrisy. Our society is based on consumerism. And what is consumerism? Consumerism is to take something which is a want and convert it into a need. I'm sure many of you have this issue, and you must have heard this, especially from the younger ones. And you say, Daddy, I need a PlayStation. Excuse me, nobody needs a PlayStation. You might want a PlayStation, which is bad enough, but you can't say you need a PlayStation. Nobody needs a PlayStation. But that's the whole thing. Convert want into need. And people are very, very clear. I still remember several years ago, I was in South Africa, and I read a headline in a marketing business newspaper. And guess what the headline said? The headline said, miss a beat and you lose a generation. Miss a beat and you lose a generation. Now, do you think they were talking about lose a generation spiritually or morally? This is a business newspaper. They are talking about lose a generation materially. They know that these little ones there, who are 8 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, 2 years and 3 years old, have more buying power than you have. Because they can actually compel you to buy things that you would not have bought otherwise. So the whole focus of marketing, very strangely, and of marketing of everything from cigarettes downwards. I mean, think about that. Their marketing from cigarettes downwards is focused at the youngest children that we have. So our society is based on hypocrisy. We take wants and convert them into needs. Our success in life is measured by buying things we do not need, to show people we don't like, and pay for that for the rest of our lives and leave them behind when we die. This is my definition of our modern society. We buy things we don't need to show people we don't like and pay for that for the rest of our lives, and then we leave that behind when we die. I mean, this is a strange kind of world we live in, but that's the world that we have created. Our blind spots, on the other hand, are mutual responsibility, compassion, and accountability. Very, very seldom do you find these things in our society. Just yesterday, somebody sent me an email which had pictures. The heading of the email was, "What has our world come to?" And it had pictures of parking lots of car manufacturers in the US and the UK. Thousands of cars, literally thousands of cars, all parked, nobody buying them. And when they asked them why are all these new cars parked, they said because people nowadays prefer to buy second-hand used cars. They don't want to buy new cars, so the sale of new cars has gone down. So you have got new cars which are sitting in the parking lots and rotting literally. Now, that is our society. So this friend of mine said, what is the solution? So I said, what you are seeing is the result of capitalism. But we know that communism and socialism is not the answer to capitalism. So he said, what is the answer? I said, responsibilism. So I coined that term, and I suggest that you start using that term, responsibilism, living responsibly. Very interesting. As we know, a couple of years back when we had the financial crisis in the West, what triggered it was the housing loan crisis, what is called the subprime crisis. Now, the subprime crisis, as a consequence of that, many people in the United States, they lost their homes, literally on the street. So living in caravan parks and living on the street. But interesting survey that was done, that survey said that the number of empty houses in the United States is enough to give each homeless person 3 houses, not 1, 3 houses. Can you imagine? I mean, that number of empty houses are there, but people are not permitted to live in them because the bank owns the house, and you, since you didn't pay the bank, you have to live on the street. The empty house is allowed to be there and fall apart, but it will not be occupied by people, and people are living on the street. This is our world. Compassion, 0. Accountability, 0, or at least we think it is 0, and mutual responsibility does not exist. My submission to you, my brothers and sisters, is that we are very sick. We are an extremely sick society. What is our situation today? Snapshot of today. If I take a photograph of our society today, one is surfeit of information, huge amounts of information. Take Islamic knowledge, for example. There was a time when I was studying, if you wanted to learn Islam, you had to go and join a madrasa. Or you had to go and sit with a sheikh and he would explain things to you. But before he explained things to you, you had to reach some level of knowledge even to be able to understand the istilahat of the Sharia, because obviously you cannot understand technical explanations if you don't know the technical knowledge. So it took you a lot of time. Today you go to Sheikh Google and in 1 second you have all the siyasita, all the books of hadith, 3-4 translations of the Quran, and you are free to pick from it what you want and make of it what you want. And obviously most of the time that is wrong, that is nonsense, because we don't have the ability to extract that knowledge from the sum total of knowledge that is coming to us. Surfeit of information. Similarly, the same thing applies to knowledge which is not Islamic, which is all kinds of knowledge. We have all forms of gadgets that are that you can imagine, which are available to us. We have got websites, we have got all sorts of things, lots of information, but very little knowledge. We have confused information with knowledge. मालूमात और इल्म दो एक चीज नहीं है. मालूमात अलग चीज होती है, इल्म अलग चीज होती है. So the knowledge is ilm and malumat is information. We have confused information to mean knowledge. Second one is we have a surfeit of tools. We have all kinds of tools. You got people running motivational programs, you got people who are running team building programs, you got somebody doing 7 habits, you got somebody doing 19 habits, you got all sorts of things, but very few or paucity or absence of criteria for decision making. Our decision making criteria are seriously flawed. Our decision making, I'll give an example. I used to be on the selection board of the scholarship program for the Islamic Development Bank out of Jeddah. And this program, we had one of the things that we gave scholarships for. We would give a full 100% scholarship for people going into pure sciences. I'm not talking about Islam, I'm talking about pure sciences. Somebody wants to do maths, he wants to become a PhD in mathematics, someone wants to become a PhD in physics, in chemistry. The Islamic Development Bank would give them full scholarship. We said, let us nurture the talent of Muslim students, identify them and so on. Believe me, I was on the board of that for 5 years. For 5 years, that quota we could never fill. And guess why? Standard answer. You can't make money as a scientist. You don't starve as a scientist, but you can't make money as a scientist. So what does everyone want to do? Everyone wants to become a computer mechanic. I'm sorry, there are some friends of mine here who are computer mechanics, so I mean they should not be offended with that. Right? IT specialist, what's that? Computer mechanic. So the point is, why? Because there are jobs in that line. But my point is, unless somebody is interested and willing to go into the basis of the information, the foundation of knowledge, how will the boundaries of knowledge expand? Our single criteria for anything is, how much money will it make? Now, this is completely and totally unacceptable. I must make one request to the brother. If you are photographing the ladies, please don't do that. If this is my video, then I don't want any women pictures in that. Jazakallah khair. So the key thing is paucity of criteria. The third one is, as I said, we have a lot of wealth, but paucity of awareness, what to do with this wealth. How can I make this wealth into a resource in my akhirah? Who needs the wealth? What can I do with it? All we can do with money is spend it, and that's what we do. But the problem with wealth is that the wealth only benefits the wise. I'll give you a very simple example, live example. There is something called the ISS, International Space Station. International Space Station is a collaborative effort of 15 different countries, including the United States and Russia, and many other countries, and some of them are very small countries. And this is a space station which is in space, obviously, and they're doing a lot of research with regard to space and all kinds of research, very, very interesting research. Now it's available if you go to on the internet, you have all that. On a side note, the International Space Station orbits the Earth at a speed of 7.62 miles per second. That means that it does 16 orbits per day. So the people on the International Space Station, they see 16 sunrises and 16 sunsets every day. They asked them, they said, what is the most beautiful thing, what is the most beautiful part of your experience on the International Space Station? They said, watching sunrises and sunsets. But guess what? There is not a single person on that International Space Station who will see a sunrise and say, Subhanallah. Not one. Not even one. And that's not because we don't have the money. Nothing to do with money. There are countries which are participating in the International Space Station. My grandfather's Jagir was bigger than that country. Seriously. I mean, focus. Serious lack of wisdom. Future generations, my brothers and sisters, I sometimes imagine, the archaeological sites, people go and dig up some mound and Pakistan mein Mohenjo-daro, Harappa वगैरह, कैसा था, what kind of a city there was. And so I think future generations will come and dig up our mounds and they will wonder how people with so much knowledge could not prevent their own destruction but actually accelerated it. Tell me, what about global warming do we not know? But global warming is accelerating or decelerating? What's happening? What about environmental pollution do we not know? But what's happening to the environment? And I can go on, I don't want to waste your time. I mean, you can make your own list. We have all the knowledge, but we make no use of it. So I'm saying that we do not have the excuse of ignorance and we do not have the excuse of poverty. Somebody told me the other day that, we have the arms stockpile of powerful nations is enough to destroy the world 40 times. So I said that's a completely oxymoronic statement, because after you've destroyed it once, how can you destroy it another 39 times? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense, right? But people say, so this is our world. So I'm saying when people dig up this world, they're going to wonder how is it that people had so much of knowledge, but they could not even prevent their own destruction.
If you're enjoying our content and want to see more, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video. Your support helps us grow and reach more people. Also, if you'd like to help us produce even more frequent and high-quality content, consider contributing to us on Patreon. Every little bit helps, and it means the world to us. So, share with your friends, and let's keep this journey going together. Thanks for all your support.